Hey witches, welcome back to the channel. Once again, this is Hectarios, and in this video I just wanted to come on and talk about snake plant, the magical properties and benefits spiritually of keeping snake plants on your property or in your home. I recently decided that I wanted to try to have some house plants and keep some plants in my room to bring nature more into my home. And in my little bit of research into, what are the best house plants and things like that, I came across the snake plant, and that's the one that stood out to me to go ahead and purchase and try first. So I ended up buying one, and about a month later I realized that there's actually also a baby in the planter with it. So I actually have two now. I transplanted the baby to its own pot. But basically, I just wanted to come on and talk about sort of the magical properties of the snake plant, but also sort of my personal experience since having them in my home, and sort of another little experience that I wanted to share. I'm by no means an expert on snake plants or using them magically, so basically all of the information that I have about them is from research. But I do, like I said, I do have a personal experience that I do want to share as well with this video, which is really the main reason why I'm making this video, sharing the subject. So I'm just going to read from this site, themagickhoroscope.com, and there's this article called Snake Plant Benefits of this Magic Plant. Discover the full potential of snake plant, the protective plant, also called tiger tongue. This is by Angel Damien as well. Snake plant, otherwise known as Sansevieria, is a plant named after the Italian prince Raimondo di Sangro, a native of San Severo. However, it is a plant that is popularly known by many other names. In Spain, it is called St. George's sword because its blades are sharp and end in a tip, like a weapon with which the knight defeated the dragon. That is one thing as well. I was also going to look up St. George and specifically, that mythology of him defeating a dragon, just to get a little bit more insight into the magical energies of this plant. I mean, if people started calling it St. George's sword, then there has to be some sort of spiritual purpose and meaning to that. So I have been meaning to look up St. George's story, and in particular of him defeating the dragon. But I mean, it sounds like it's a protective energy. There are also those who call it tiger tongue because of its characteristic stains, and in other countries it is known as snake tongue. The Sansevieria, Sword of St. George, or Tiger Tongue, as the reader prefers, is classified by many as a magical and highly protective plant, forming part of the decoration of thousands of homes in an elegant and simple way. The Sword of St. George, the magical plant that protects your finances. The popularity of the snake plant is due to its perfect growth in dry climates. It can grow even in stony ground and is perfect as an indoor houseplant. Because it can be watered only once a month, withstands poor light, and is resistant to pests and diseases. It thus becomes a good gift for people who do not have much time to care for plants. The varieties of Sansevieria have expanded in recent years, with new varieties and crops. The best-known Sansevieria, trifasciata laurenti, has long green leaves with golden yellow edges, and I think that's the kind that I have, if I'm not mistaken. This plant is shaped like a sword, and therefore in witchcraft, rituals, and spells bonds with the defense of economics and as the weapon that protects us from all evil. Medicinal properties of St. George's sword. The strength of St. George's sword is that it transforms the harmful substances of air into oxygen with minimal care. It manages to purify the air due to the organic compounds it contains, and there are studies that support its effectiveness. In the same way, it has a reputation for absorbing radiation from computers, televisions, and other electronics. So I also found that interesting. I naturally sort of set these plants right beside like my TV and computer area station. Also right beside the window, but it is beside my electronic station. So I just thought that was a good thing if it can really absorb all that energy. The Sansevieria is also believed to stabilize air pressure, which could improve the immune system, be considered an ally against colds, and its juice is considered to be an effective anti-inflammatory. In some places, it is used by applying it to the skin to accelerate wound healing, soothe itching, and has a small analgesic effect. It is also credited with effectiveness in healing intestinal, parasitic, and gynecological diseases. Of course, then there's a disclaimer. This report is completely informative, therefore the reader should not neglect medical treatments or replace them with others carried out with this plant. In large doses, it can be toxic. The magical properties of tiger tongue. Lovers of feng shui teachings attribute to this plant magical healing properties by achieving absorption of all kinds of negative energies. It is now linked to a way to ward off aggression and rudeness, although for a long time it was linked to bad luck, as it was believed to grow plumper in houses where disputes were frequent. The magical properties of the tiger plant also encompass a strengthening of the mind. Its presence allows to learn new things, resist problems, expand the ability to work, and in general helps us to strengthen. How to use St. George's sword. Many magical plants can be used in different ways, in the form of incense, infusions, etc. However, it is not the case of the sword of St. George, which lends its protection as a natural, fresh plant. So just keeping the plant alive in your home or on your property, that is the way to use it magically. Of course, I'm sure there's more that you could do as far as, just different rituals you could do with the plant and things like that. But just keeping it is enough. St. George's sword ritual to protect the house. A very simple ritual with Sansevieria to protect the house is to have a pot in our home, nothing more, nothing less. Once again, like I said, to ward off bad vibrations and envy, as well as to protect our money and interest. The snake plant is placed at the door of the house, windows, balconies, etc. Any type of opening, basically. As if St. George himself is providing us with his protection to prevent the passage of negative energies. As a simple ritual, there are also those who place a sheet of tiger tongue under their bed to wait for us at night, with a sword that defends us from all evil. It is said that this plant manages to retain all negativities. But yeah, that was interesting too. You could take a blade of the plant and just place it under your bed to protect you while you sleep. I'm sure there's more implications of that. Wherever you place it would probably be protected as well. So that's something else to consider. But that's basically all this short little article on this website has to say. But I just wanted to share that little bit of an insight into the snake plant. Now I'm going to talk about the experience that I had with it myself personally. So ever since I brought it into my house, into my room, I have felt its energies working. I have felt it doing what it's supposed to do. I have felt situations where it absorbed the negative influence and energies that I believed to have been around me at the time. I could feel it draining that away and neutralizing it. There was a period after about a month or so, I set these plants outside to let them get like natural sunlight and stuff because I felt like they weren't getting enough in here. So I put them outside to just let them have some sunlight. After 2 weeks or so, I started to feel like the fairies wanted me to bring these plants back in because I do have these plants sitting beside my fairy altar as well. And I felt like they wanted me to bring them back in the house. So I went to, our little garden area and I was bringing them back in. I brought the big one in and it was like normal, nothing happened. But when I went back out to grab the little one in its pot, as soon as I picked up the little one, I felt this like whoosh of energy come down my whole body, and it felt like I could hear like a rushing, flushing, fluttering sensation or noise in my ears, just really briefly. But it did send like this wave of energy just through my whole body, and I was just like, whoa, like what was that about? And it happened the moment that I picked up that pot to bring it inside. And everything's been fine and whatnot, but I wanted to share that because I felt like in that moment, it felt like I received the protection of St. George, or just whatever the energies are, whatever spirit is behind this plant. I totally felt like in that moment, when I felt that energy go through me, that I was now under the protection of this being, or this entity, this energy that is the snake plant. And I just thought that was very interesting, and I wanted to share that with you all. I've never really had an experience like that with plant magic or herbal magic before. That was something that was very new for me. So I wanted to share that, and just also put that idea out there for you guys of maybe getting a snake plant yourself if you haven't, and if you've never heard of it or never tried it before. If you have, please let me know your experiences down in the comments below. What are your experiences with the snake plant or with St. George? That would be something I'd be very interested in learning and hearing about from you. And if you do decide to try this, also leave a comment below and let me know what your experience ends up to be. With that said, that's basically all. I just wanted to come on and share that little bit of a tidbit and story with you all. Hope you have some fun with this magic. And until next time, as always, hell heckity, hell to the witches, and blessed be.